Hey guys, what's up? This is Teddy Macedo, aka bearRimshot's speaking. Sorry I'm a little late when doing this one. It's been a while since I last uploaded a video on to my YouTube page. Now, in case if you're all wondering how I've been, what's been going on with me, well, if I had to be completely honest, there are a lot of crazy things, many different things I've been doing. I've been dealing with personal matters, as well as family matters, as well as not being under the weather, as well as, of course, I was also busy finishing up making the next episode of Casual Reviews with bearRimshot. So anyways, all updates aside, now it's time for me to be able to tell you guys on what are my thoughts on D23 this year. Now, for those who don't know, back in 2015, I did a special vlog regarding the D23. Not only that, but also, in case if y'all wondering how come a special vlog of this did not happen at all last year, and if I had to be completely honest about this myself, it all came down to, well, pretty much the same reason why a Star Wars Celebration 2016 vlog never happened, considering of how, just like with Star Wars Celebration, there was no D23. Well, at least D23 Expo alone we're talking about. This is what we're talking about. Anyways, on with the video. First off, let's go talk about the movies. Now, the first movie I would love, the first movie I would love to be able to talk about would be regarding to Wreck-It Ralph 2. Now, in case you're wondering what did I think about what Wreck-It Ralph 2 has to offer, well, if I had to be completely honest about that one, out of all the films that Walt Disney Animation Studios has to come out coming soon, it would be the film that I'm most certainly very excited about. Sure, it may be a Disney sequel that would be made at Walt Disney Animation Studios instead of Disney Toon Studios. But in the end of the day, when it comes to Wreck-It Ralph 2, I'm so excited about that movie. Not just because it's one out of 3 Disney sequels that I want Disney to do, which sadly, when it comes to Wreck-It Ralph 2, not only is it one out of the 3 following Disney sequels that I would love to see but shockingly never happened, 2 other Disney sequels that I would love to see happen which shockingly never happened are Who Framed Roger Rabbit 2 and Peter Pan 3. Now, the reason why I would love for those sequels to happen really badly is because, now, for the case of Wreck-It Ralph 2, this is a sequel to a crossover movie we're talking about. As for Who Framed Roger Rabbit 2, definitely also the same reason why I would want a Wreck-It Ralph sequel. Is because, well, when it comes to the movies Wreck-It Ralph and Who Framed Roger Rabbit, they're both crossover movies. But as for Peter Pan 3, well, let's just say it all came down to the fact of how, well, that I am a huge fan, being that I loved Return to Neverland. So anyways, when it comes to Wreck-It Ralph 2, I'm so excited about that movie so much. Not only is it one of my most wanted Disney sequels to happen alongside Who Framed Roger Rabbit 2 and Peter Pan 3, but also what makes it even better is they're going to include all the Disney princesses. And I literally do mean all of the Disney princesses. And when speaking about the ones beginning with Ariel, they would all be voiced by their original voice actresses, including Belle, and whom in this one would be voiced by Paige O'Hara. And I'm glad that Disney would consider bringing back Paige O'Hara to reprise her role as Belle. As whenever I think about the voice of Belle, I would think of Paige O'Hara pretty much. But however, I however, I'm surprised that I have not heard about whether or not will Mario still appear. Because you see, when it comes to Wreck-It Ralph, this is a movie that's trying to be like the Who Framed Roger Rabbit of video games we're talking about. And when it comes to Mario, when people think about when us gamers think about the greatest video game characters of all time, the first one that's always going to pop out of our heads would be Mario. As when it comes to Mario, he is an important figure in gaming history. So much so that he would even appear in almost every single game in the Super Smash Bros. Series. Not only that, but also a game featuring him in the form of Super Mario Bros. Did help rescue the video game industry after there has been a horrible video game crash caused by two horrible Atari games consisting of Atari Pac-Man and, of course, Atari E.T. Yeah. I really do hope I also get to see Mario in there as well. And I was also hoping I get to see Snow White, Cinderella, and Aurora all appear, considering of how important those three Disney princesses are for different reasons. However, I remember someone tweeted me to Twitter about how that Snow White, Cinderella, and Aurora will all thankfully appear in Wreck-It Ralph 2. And the people who would voice those characters are, I know for Snow White, it would most likely be Catherine O'Teal. Correct me if I pronounce her name wrong. Anyways, and for Cinderella, she would most definitely undoubtedly be voiced by Jennifer Hale. And for Aurora, should pretty much be voiced by the same person who also did get to voice her in Connect Disneyland Adventures and when she guest appeared on Sophia the First. However, I'm also glad that they would definitely consider making references to both Marvel and Star Wars. Definitely open-minded about that as well. And speaking of sequels, there are two other movies I want to talk about. As for what do I think about Frozen 2, as much as I'm excited about that movie as well, I'd be more excited about Wreck-It Ralph 2, as it's a sequel that I would personally ask for. As for Frozen 2, well, I would definitely try to keep an open mind to see what it's got. And speaking of which, as for what do I think about what the next Disney Studios film has to offer, being another car spin-off set in space. Although I am so happy that I finally got to find out what the next Disney Studios film be at D23 this year. It's a shame it had to be a major disappointment for me personally. I mean, shame that the next Disney Studios film had to be none other than another car spin-off, only this time it's going to take place in space. And, I mean, do we really need any more car spin-off movies? Because, if Disney Studios was going to make more movies, at least it's going to make more great movies. At least go back to making Disney sequels instead of having to make endless Tinkerbell movies and car spin-offs. But I will give it this. At least it's not another Tinkerbell movie. That's for sure. And, yeah. I mean, and for those who have not seen my Disney Studios vlog I did back last year during Easter, for those who don't know, last year I once did a video sharing my thoughts on the next Disney Studios based on what I want it to be and what I don't want it to be. And it's a shame that it's not the film that I'd be looking for. And keep in mind, people, that when I shared my thoughts on the next Disney Studios film last year during Easter, it's not for me to say that it's a guarantee it will happen, okay? I'm just expressing my opinion, even if some of you may not agree, and I'm just sharing what I think should happen and what should not happen. And this is why, when I do get to do an episode of Casual Reviews with bearRimshot, counting down which franchises I think franchises that I personally want to see join LEGO Dimensions, instead of calling it the top 10 franchises that I want to see join LEGO Dimensions, I might as well have no choice but to change the name to the top 10 franchises that should join LEGO Dimensions Countdown. Why is it that we can't see more of Return to Neverland than more of Planes? I know, I get it. John Lasseter canceled future Disney sequels back when he was appointed to Chief Creative Officer. But even with that, it doesn't excuse the fact that, that based on what he did, is just not only a dumb move, but also, John, when it comes to the Disney sequel cancellation, John Lasseter is just doing it just because of how bad Return to Jafar is. Now, don't get me wrong, people, I love John Lasseter. Though you could say that I'm one of the very few that didn't like it when John Lasseter canceled future Disney sequels. Let's keep in mind that, sure, we may have occasionally gotten some bad sequels with the likes of Return to Jafar, Mulan 2, and Beauty and the Beast Belle's Magical World. However, in the end of the day, there are at least some good sequels that Disney has done. Keep in mind that Disney can make a good sequel as well. There are some good sequels Disney has made, including The Rescuers Down Under, Fantasia 2000, Return to Neverland, as well as Aladdin King of Thieves, the Lion King sequels, Cinderella 3, Twice in Time, Bambi 2, and all the theatrical Pooh movies, theatrical Winnie the Pooh films, as well as all the direct-to-video holiday-themed Winnie the Pooh movies as well. As well as the Jungle Book 2, and say what you guys like about The Hunchback of Notre Dame 2. Personally, I thought it's a really good sequel. Sure, it may not be Return to Neverland good, or let alone Rescuers Down Under good, but I bet we can all agree it's way better than Return to Jafar, that's for sure. And look, I know I should be aware that The Rescuers Down Under, Fantasia 2000, and the 2011 Winnie the Pooh film were all done in Walt Disney Animation Studios, and so will be with Wreck-It Ralph 2 and Frozen 2. Just well, even if you let a Disney sequel be done in Disney Studios instead of Walt Disney Animation Studios, even if none of the films coming from Disney Studios would be considered to be part of the Walt Disney Animated canon, whatever you see come from Disney Studios still counts as Disney, whether we all like it or hate it. And you guys may be wondering, why the fridge would I be somebody who enjoyed watching the Disney sequels just as much as I do with the animated classics, as well as let alone even more than those crappy live-action remakes. If I had to be completely honest about it, if I had a good reason aside from Disney's capability of doing good sequels, and I do mean the Walt Disney Company in general. Well, I will say this. To anyone who may not realize this, I'm a late 90s / early 2000s kid. So therefore, being that I grew up in the late 90s / early 2000s, I just knew for myself that it would be the reason, it would explain the reason why not only would I be somebody who enjoyed watching the Disney sequels, not all precise, more precise, but most, but also it's also pretty much the same reason why I would be somebody who enjoyed watching the Star Wars prequels, aside for the Clone Wars part, as well as when George Lucas once made a video game based on Star Wars Episode 3: Revenge of the Sith that I thought it was actually good. And it's also this pretty much the same reason why I would be somebody who enjoyed not just playing the living books, as adaptations of Dr. Seuss's works go. Not only would I be somebody who would enjoy watching the animated TV specials, and even more with the living books games, but also I even got to enjoy all the Dr. Seuss movies. Not just the computer animated ones with the likes of 14 Years Ago and the Lorax, but also even the live action movies such as The Grinch with Jim Carrey and The Cat in the Hat with Mike Myers. Now, when it comes to the live action Cat in the Hat, I can see why a lot of people don't like that movie. It all came down to the fact that it does contain some adult humor, including when they showed the Cat in the Hat's butt crack. So anyways, it's also the same reason why I would ever consider enjoying as playing video games go, as if I had to go beyond the personal computer. The first video games I would play that would be on a gaming console or handheld. Handheld-wise, it would be Game Boy Advance, and console-wise, it would be games that would come out for either PlayStation 2, original Xbox, or Nintendo GameCube. Which would probably explain why I would seem to have the enjoyment to play games such as Mario Baseball, Sly Cooper, the Super Mario Advance games, the Sonic Advance games, Sonic Heroes, and the Sonic Adventure games on the GameCube, and Star Wars Battlefront and all that good old stuff. And it would be the same reason why, when it comes to Rita Rabbit, I would mostly prefer the pre-1999 games. You know, we're talking like the games where you would have Rita Rabbit wearing... I'm talking about the games where you would have Rita Rabbit only wearing a red and blue striped sweater, and when you have Sam the Lion appear to be wearing no clothes, well, just because, well, he's a lion, that is, duh. As well as when you have characters, and when you have Maddie the Mouse appearing to be Rita Rabbit's sidekick, as well as of how, when speaking about Rita Rabbit preschool, this is a moment where you would have Rita Rabbit and the gang go to a theme park, and go to a carnival, and it would feature this one mini game called ABC Diner, where you have to make sure you pick the right exact foods for you to be able to serve to the customers. As well as of how that in Rita Rabbit Kindergarten, where Matilda the Mouse would go camping, and when it comes same reason why when it comes to Jumpstart for me personally, most of the games I would enjoy playing are the ones up to 2000, all the way up to the deluxe games. You know, the ones where in Jumpstart first grade, it would feature a cafeteria owl who sounds just like as if J.K. Simmons would have voiced him. As well as of how you would have a purple octopus who can not only measure things properly for what you want to cook, but also they would have a pizza game as well that you can actually play, where you have a time limit of time limit to make sure you put the right exact toppings for you to be able to put onto your pizza. And yeah, and when it comes to Dr. Seuss, it's also the same reason why I don't, as Dr. Seuss adaptations go. My personal favorite ones are the Living Books games and the Creative Wonders games. So anyways, enough nostalgia talk. Time to get back to my thoughts on D23. And I hope I answered your age-old question on why I would be somebody who enjoyed the Disney sequels. If you're somebody who really, really do not like it, that is totally fine with me. We all have different tastes, and we all have different opinions. So please don't come being a jerk about if I like something you don't like, or if I don't like something you do like. We all have different opinions, and we all have different tastes. So anyways, moving on, as for my thoughts on Incredibles 2, I'm actually excited about it as well. As for what do I think about Toy Story 4? Well, it's too bad we wouldn't have John Lasseter directing anymore, but we do have Josh Cooley. And how do I feel about that? Well, let's just say I'm very open-minded with what he would be doing. As for what do I think about Coco? Also excited about that movie as well. As for what do I think about DuckTales, about the possibility of Darkwing Duck actually guest appearing in DuckTales, it would definitely be a dream come true, I must say. Amongst fans of the show, as well as Disney Afternoon fans, as well as fans of Toon Disney as well. I especially remember Disney did once legally authorize certain comic books where Scrooge McDuck literally meets Darkwing Duck, and no joke when I say that. It's really a shame that when Screw Attack did a Death Battle episode featuring Scrooge McDuck, they would have his rival be Shovel Knight instead of Darkwing Duck. Considering that I find Darkwing Duck to be more suitable of a rival to Scrooge McDuck than somebody like Shovel Knight. Though I do understand that these are characters who famously appeared in classic video games that have been critically acclaimed. I mean, Shovel Knight did famously appear in a video game that would become a NES classic. And so did Scrooge McDuck when he got not one, but two DuckTales video games. Both of which are actually good and have been regarded as one of the greatest video games to ever be released on the Nintendo Entertainment System. right up there alongside Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers 2, Super Mario Brothers 3, Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2, Adventures of Link, Ice Climber, Kid Icarus, and all that good old stuff. And even Tetris, and yes, people, there is a NES port for Tetris, where for Tetris Type A, the song that we're playing for Tetris Type A, instead of it being Korobeniki, as it famously would normally be, it would be a song, it would be another classical piece in the form of Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy from the Nutcracker Suite. And no joke when I say that. That is a fact right here. Whether you all like it or not. And speaking of game talk, let's get on with the video games. Now, first off, let's get into what do I think about what Star Wars Battlefront 2 has to offer. If I had to be completely honest, I'm still so excited about Star Wars Battlefront 2. You know, one thing I feel glad about when it comes to Star Wars Battlefront 2, at least they're not heavily focusing on the original trilogy like the last game in the series. They're also going to incorporate elements from the sequel trilogy that'll be out so far, including Episode 7 and Episode 8, and also, of course, the prequels. Now, what can I say, people, other than I love the Star Wars prequels? So much so that they would even help make Star Wars Battlefront games really great. Or let alone, like, let's just say, if you want to make a Star Wars video game, or let alone, like, let's just say, make a crossover featuring Star Wars that's meant to be more just for fun. Don't just include the original trilogy, but also include the prequel trilogy as well. So yeah, I'm just gonna say it. DICE, in case if you happen to be watching this, I must say this, that I'm really, really happy for you guys, and I really would like to thank you guys for listening to us longtime Battlefrontians. And I've been trying to tell you guys too many times that you do have people who enjoyed the prequels like myself, just as much as you can find people in this world who mostly enjoyed the originals better. Yeah. As for what do I think about the new Lego Marvel game, I'm definitely open-minded about that, even though I still haven't beaten the original Lego Marvel game yet. However, it's really a shame to see that I still have not heard any confirmation of any Disney, Pixar, Marvel, nor Star Wars characters joining Lego Dimensions. Consider how amazing allies both Marvel and Star Wars can be to the world of Lego. So much so that we've seen multiple different video games for both Marvel and Star Wars, mostly standalone in this case, as well as a variety of different shorts featuring based on Marvel and Star Wars, and heck, we would even see Star Wars appear in the Lego movie. I know I should be understanding about the fact that Marvel don't normally like to collaborate with DC. But do keep in mind that there is one Lego toy series that would somehow legally include both Marvel and DC characters at the same time in the form of Lego superheroes. I'm clearly not making this up, people. It's a fact right here. As for what do I think about the world reveal for Kingdom Hearts 3 being Toy Story, I thought it's really good, I must say. I'm glad they're including Pixar in this case. It's a shame that an English dub does not exist. And I've been personally wondering lately who will be voicing the Toy Story characters appearing in Kingdom Hearts 3 with the likes of Woody and Buzz Lightyear. It's something that I would love to be able to know really, really badly. So I've been wondering lately on whether or not will any sequel worlds appear in Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm especially talking like sequels to movies that have previously been in Kingdom Hearts, especially Return to Neverland, because you see, ever since when I first learned about the Kingdom Hearts series, back when Kingdom Hearts, right after Kingdom Hearts 2 first came out, I always want to be able to see Square Enix, both Disney Interactive and Square Enix, do at least one Kingdom Hearts game where Sora actually rescues Jane. And I'm talking about Jane from Return to Neverland and not Jane from Tarzan. And, yeah, so, if I had any other additional notes I have to make, I'm also excited about Star Wars Episode 8 has to offer, and it's too bad they haven't shown footage of the new Han Solo movie, considering the fact that the people who were supposed to direct it in the form of Chris Miller and Phil Lord both sadly got fired. And yes, people, I'm talking about the same guys who also famously helped directed Clyde with the Chase of Meatballs, 21 Jump Street, and the Lego Movie. And that's all I have to say. And for anyone who's been still waiting for when I do get to do my 4th Mr. Dakota Wars vlog, I've got great news, people. And yes, this is for real. And yes, people, the next video that I'll be doing, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on the 4th Mr. Dakota Awards. And please don't hate me with what I'm about to say in that video, as I've yet to say whether you people all like it or not, and I've yet to answer everyone's questions regarding when it came down to certain things. So yeah, this is Teddy signing out. See you when I do my 4th Mr. Dakota Wars vlog. Bye bye.